Time is X minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
It's the Rocket Hour. Y'all are now tuned in. Time to hit the pick four that you'd love to win. If your money's coming slow, step on the faster track with your host, Ricky Pasternak. Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Rocket Hour. We are officially in March. I think the last time you guys saw us was February, which wasn't the best month in terms of, not for us, because we had a great month, but weather-wise, kind of destroyed the entire country, like Dallas, Texas, Aaron's area, and Missouri. All over Oakland definitely suffered that as well. We are back at Gulfstream today, but we have a lot to recap. Nothing from Oakland Park from last week. We've had a lot since. If you guys probably saw us over the weekend, I was hosting with the sun shining in my face on Saturday. Like I said on Saturday, I was shining literally and figuratively. The sun literally, the way my setup is, the sun just pops in, and the whole time difference and things like that. Hopefully, we'll be turning the clocks. Aaron, real quick before we get into it, how was the rest of your weekend Sunday? I know you had a stressful week just dealing with the website, and I guess still kind of working out those kinks. More importantly, what was some of the alcohol that you consumed on Sunday night or Saturday night just to kind of relieve some stress?
No, not a drop the whole time because I was having to concentrate so hard. All good now. Everything's going really well, so that's good. This weekend was fun. Sunday was great because of Monomoy Girl, and the return of Monomoy Girl was really something. So that was a lot of fun. Weather was horrible at Oakland again, but at least they ran, and that was good. But seeing Monomoy back was really great. That was the highlight of my Sunday for sure.
Yeah, and that's a great segue. We're going to get into it. We'll talk about three races. The Bayakoa, which we don't have to talk about anything else outside of Monomoy, which we'll do in a little bit. And then the two Triple Crown races, the Southwest and the Fountain of Youth. That's it. If you guys want to do some more stakes action, you could try to rewatch our live stream. I know Magic and Samish talked about it. Maybe you and Jared will talk a little bit about it on Thursday, blinkers off. But we just don't have all the time to get into every stakes race. So if you want to, you rewatch some of the things that we did this weekend and things coming up as well. Let's get right into it. It was a great segue by you into Monomoy Girl. I'll be honest, I was a little worried, just a touch, not because of her. It was more so the setup, having to be wide the whole time, the slop, some of the fitness issues that we had talked about. And you never know, right? The first start of 2021 for any horse. We've seen it with some of Chad Brown's mares. Obviously, that's on the turf. But some of the runners just don't come back. And especially when you get to this is my biggest angle. On the female side, you just don't know. Not that Monomoy Girl's not talented. Not that Chad Brown's runners aren't talented. Real quick, I was a little nervous, but she won by 2. And it's funny, Kate and Bradar even said she pulled herself up. These horses, males, females, the older they get, they know when to stop. They kind of recognize the wire, and they'll get a little shoulder tap or a little pet on the mane and the back, on the neck. And it's like, all right, my job's done. I can pull myself up. What were your initial thoughts of that race, of her? Were you a little worried like me? Maybe what's the next step for her? I believe it's probably the Apple Blossom, I'm guessing. So just your initial thoughts, your takeaway from the Bayakoa on Sunday.
Yeah, I was talking to my dad before the race, and it's like, well, she's 6 years old now, which that alludes to what you're talking about. Sometimes, really almost all the time when a filly or, I guess a mare, when they decide it's time to stop running, that's it. And so you do get a little worried as they get older. You also, first time, out of the season is a little worrisome. And that track was just an absolute mess. So I was with you. I was very nervous. And during the race, I was like, I don't know. She's not really running. And then once he asked her to go, that was it. It was over in the blink of an eye. And you're right. A very professional performance, just kind of pulled up and cruised home. It just sets her up again for another big season. And that is a picture perfect beginning to her season and a good race to build off of. And like I said, Apple Blossom will be next. And, that's not going to be an easy race. It's never easy to win a grade 1. I don't care what. So she'll have to go up there and run just as well at Oaklawn next time. But, all signs to me are that this horse is really, really good once again this year.
Yeah, it's interesting with the mares, especially like you said. Papa Dude was on. He was not only on the live stream, but obviously, he knows Oaklawn just as well as anyone in the country. Don't ask him about Gulfstream. He admittedly said he doesn't watch a lot, but that's okay. We're gonna hold him to Oaklawn. No, sometimes they just stop, and you don't know if it's at the 2021. You don't know. Not 2021. You don't know if it's at the beginning of the year, whether it's 2040 or 2002. You just don't know. The boys tend to kind of give you a gradual decline. The mares, like, they could wake up one morning and be like, I'm not into this anymore. Let me be a mom. Let me hang out. And if Monomoy Girl just didn't run anymore, one of the best careers a mare could have. Yeah. Let's dive into, if there's nothing else, let's dive into some Derby preps. As Aaron kind of confirmed, the Apple Blossom should be next. Knock on wood. Training goes well. She's healthy. Connections are all good. Things like that. Derby preps. I'll let you start. We had 2 of them. We could start with the Southwest at Oaklawn, or we could start with the Fountain of Youth at Gulfstream. I'll let you pick which one maybe were you more impressed with, or which one do you just want to talk about? I know Oaklawn's your home track, so we can start in any direction or anything you wanted to touch on quick.
Yeah, we'll go with the Southwest first, because I do think it was the more serious of the 2 prospects that came out of Saturday. Look, that was, again, another Brad Cox horse, the perfect start to the year, right? I mean, he did it. It was easy. He can build off that and go right into the next race, he being essential quality, obviously. I thought it was perfect. I thought it was absolutely perfect for him. The track played exactly like it needed to play for him to win. So he did get a boost, I think, because the track was definitely just playing to outside stalkers and closers all day. But at the same time, this horse just motored home. I thought this was a really strong performance. I don't want anything behind him, but I thought this was a really good kicking off part. And it's a lot like Monomoy Girl. Were they at their absolute best, these 2 horses, over the weekend? No. But it was a really good kicking off point to the season.
Yeah, real quick, for you guys throwing in, I know Dennis threw in a comment, please throw in your Triple Crown comments now, because we'd love to show them. We could definitely touch on it. Sorry, I should have done that at the beginning of the show. I apologize for that, but we will, if you save your Gulfstream stuff for later, we'll get to those comments also. But if you do have a question about the Triple Crown, whether it's these 2 races, maybe moving forward, we're going to do that now. We probably won't touch on Triple Crown stuff for at least the rest of this episode or show. So please, if you do have a question, get that in now. I'll go with my opinion. And I guess the reason I threw that part in for Dennis's question, did we see the Derby winner? Mm-hmm. I'm going to say no. The reason I say that is because there are a few West Coast horses that I'm interested in, and I do want to see how the Tampa Bay Derby plays out. I don't know about Candyman Rocket. I know you guys talked about Nova Rags, and I think, right, they're both pointing for the Tampa Bay Derby. Those are the Bill Mott runners. I guess I prefer Candyman Rocket. That's just my opinion. Again, I'm not nearly as caught up on the Triple Crown trail as Magic, Jared, and Aaron. I've been on the record saying that I'm more day-to-day type of guy, and I'm not in the fantasy league, but I did listen yesterday. So quick promotion. Please go listen to them if you have any Triple Crown coverage. They've covered it all, out, including the fact that Jared thinks he's cursed. That's another conversation for another time. I don't think I'm not at 95%. I would go at like 60%. I'm confident in essential quality, but to Aaron's point, we don't know what we're going to talk about in the Fountain of Youth, which we'll get to. So if we're doing that, if we're at 95% like Dennis is, I'll throw it back to I'll throw it back to Aaron, before we get to the Fountain of Youth. I love essential quality. I'm going to leave it at that. But to Aaron's point, I'm not sure what he beat, to be honest. That's not his fault. You could only run what your competition was. I was all in on Jackie's Warrior. I know Aaron was as well. I really thought this was going to be it. He is probably it's weird for him. He's maybe not an Amsterdam horse because I don't know how much of a true sprinter he is. Maybe he could find like the 1-turn mile at Gulfstream, like those types of races. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do with him moving forward. Not in Amsterdam. I don't know. It's a sprint race maybe, but it's weird. He's not a true sprinter. But Essential Quality is probably the horse to beat at this point. But we still have a long ways to go. I'm sure Bob Baffert will have something to say about that. Real quick before we talk to the Fountain of Youth, are you as confident as Dennis is about Essential Quality? Because I think it's Essential Quality or the other runner. I'm not going to mention the name before we get to the Fountain of Youth. You're at this point at 95%. I think Dennis is all in on Essential Quality. Are you all in on Essential Quality?
Well, to be clear, I was not all in on Jackie's Warrior. I picked Essential Quality to win, so that's inaccurate. But yeah, I am not 95%. I'm probably 70%. I say that because I really want to see Life is Good here. I want to see how he progresses second time going along. I want to see what that looks like. I'm pretty high on Concert Tour as kind of that horse that's kind of up and coming. So I do want to see him as well. And, you know, San Felipe and the Rebel, I think, is really going to tell us a lot. We got the San Felipe this weekend, along with a couple other races that I'm sure we'll talk about on Friday. And then with the Rebel, you know, I think that's kind of a sneaky race. Caddo River and Concert Tour, we haven't really talked a lot about. Those two could step up and be a player. But, yeah, I mean, Essential Quality is number one right now. But I'm not confident. And let's see, who said they didn't take him at 7-2? Right here, Jared Bush said, I love him, but I wouldn't take him at 7-2. Though there's absolutely no reason to. You know, you want to bet Essential Quality on Derby Day, and here's if you still like him at that point, and here's why. He will be 5-2 to 3-1 if he wins his next race and then goes to the Derby. I mean, that's usually what a strong favorite is in the Derby. So you're not really getting any value at all betting him right now. I would not bet him in any future wagers, but he definitely is number one on the rankings right now. But like I said last week, we've got 3 straight weeks of big preps. We're 1 week in. Let's see the next 2. By the end of the Rebel, we're going to have a really good idea who the top horse is.
Yeah, I'm just going through a few of the past Kentucky Derby runners. To your point, like Justified was 5-2. Always Dreaming was 9-2. Nyquist was actually 2-1, but American Pharoah 5-2. So to Aaron's point, you don't need to plunge right now. You're not going to see Essential Quality at 6-5. And if you do, you bet against him. So that I think we would all agree because it's going to be a good type of thing. Before we get to Greatest Honor, you know, Mark chimes in, Pate Mile for Jackie's Word. Yeah, that's about right. Anything longer than that is probably going to be a concern.
Let me jump in real quick, though. That horse wouldn't have won a 6-furlong race the way he performed at Oakland on Saturday. He's got to get better to win any kind of race. That was not the same horse.
Yeah, and it's interesting, right? He's going to be tough to figure out because I don't like Saratoga. I only mentioned the Amsterdam. I really meant it for the distance. He's not a sprinter at 6 furlongs, and he's not a true horse who's going to go 8.5, 9, 9.5, 10 furlongs. 10 furlongs is a little long, but it's still like it's tough to like, what do you do with him, right? And it's unfortunate because he's talented. We're not going to sit here and say he's a piece of crap. It's just tough. So I guess that's why, you know, Saratoga, that 7 furlong distance, because then, you know, the opening day at Saratoga, what's the first race? 1 mile and an eighth. Why do they want that? So you could see them out of the gate. That's the way they kick off. And it could be crap. The horses could be crap. That's the way they do it. So you could see them right out of the gate and you could be right there. Like, he can't handle a 9 furlong race and do it gate to wire. There's one other comment Jared's going to talk about, Jared Bush. I don't want to get to it. The Derby pool opens Friday. Yeah. You know Aaron's thoughts. He's been on the record for years saying it's stupid. I also agree it's stupid. Real quick, I guess we can get to Jared's point. Greatest Honor is legitimate. That's the other one, right? That's the other Derby prep that I was trying to keep that comment on ice, as they like to say, as we get to it here. Aaron, I'll throw it to you. I know Magic had a few comments. He doesn't think the Gulfstream Park circuit is as strong as it's been in the past. You know, tis the law, Florida Derby winner last year, and we can go on and on. To what do you have to say for the folks who didn't listen to Magic's question or point yesterday? And do you agree with Jared here? Jared Bush, not Jared Welsh. I think Greatest Honor is legitimate. What to those 2 questions or points, you say what?
I don't think he's a legitimate win contender. I really don't. I think he's an underneath type. I think he is going to get better as the distances get longer. But I really think they came back to him awful hard in that race, the Fountain of Youth on Saturday. I really think everybody was stopping. I think the Florida Derby is there for a good horse to win it. I really do. And that's why I claimed Collaborate yesterday in the Fantasy League. I just kind of feel like, if Drain the Clock could have held that speed a little longer, he would have won that race. I think he stopped, and I think Greatest Honor was able to catch him. I think Greatest Honor is a really cool horse. Like, I'm rooting for him. I just don't – I can't get there as far as a win contender for the Kentucky Derby. But listen, he's the type that you're going to have to beat him. He's going to keep you honest. It's going to take a good horse to beat him, but I think there are a few out there that can. To Magic's point about Florida, Gulfstream, maybe even throw Tampa in being a little weak, I agree. I don't think it's solid from top to bottom. I think Greatest Honor is really good. But after that, there's nothing there. It's pretty bad. A sprinter just finished second in the Fountain of Youth. So much so, the horse got 20 points for the Derby, so he just needs to get a few more and he's in. And the connection said, no, thank you. We didn't like what we saw.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm just going through the top 5. I'll go through the top 10 Greatest Honor. We know it's Florida, but Mandaloon, Fairgrounds, Essential Quality, just ran at Oaklawn, Midnight Bourbon. We've seen Risen Star, that's, Fairgrounds. Proxy, kind of same thing. We talked about that race a lot, the Risen Star and the LeCompte. Keep Me in Mind. We haven't seen Keep Me in Mind since the Kentucky Jockey Club. Kentucky, whatever. That always gets me confused. Kentucky Jockey Club. Spielberg, we kind of saw Spielberg, California Runner, not great. Jackie's Warrior, not great. Rumbauer struggled, I believe, at Golden Gate. Just to Magic's point, the Gulfstream circuit doesn't seem to be as good. You know what this horse reminds me of? Authentic. Not because of the running style. Not because just in terms of this. No, when we were talking about Authentic, now keep this in your mind. Remember, we were talking about Authentic as he's a nice horse, but he wasn't great. And this was over the summer, not at the end of it, because at the end of it, we had completely different opinions. It's going to take a good horse to beat Authentic. That's where I'm at. Like that's all I mean by the Authentic comparison. So I know your eyebrows perk, but that's all I'm getting at, because we thought it would take a nice horse to beat an Authentic. And granted, we saw Authentic do great things, and Authentic was much better than we ever thought. But when we were talking in May and June, we thought that's what it was. He ran at the Haskell, I believe, and we weren't all that impressed, right? I remember we did the live stream, so that's all I meant. Not the running style. He's not going to be as good as Authentic. I'm just saying, we thought at the time a good horse needs to beat him. Obviously, Authentic is much better than we ever anticipated. Hence, he beat Tis the Law, who we thought was the world beater. So that's all I meant. That's kind of where Greatest Honor is. We think a good horse could beat him. But if you're going to throw average or a decent or slightly above average, it's probably not going to get the job done. Let's get a few comments in. Jared, don't ever be sorry for following intently. We appreciate that. Mark threw in the Greatest Honor buyer speed figure. Yeah, that's probably not good enough just to back up Aaron's point. He will have to get faster. Yeah. Let's see. Any thoughts on Drain the Clock? There are a few other comments. I'm not saying they're not interesting. We just got to get through them all. Real quick, Aaron, any thoughts on Drain the Clock? Because I think Drain the Clock ran a very, very good race. He's probably another sprinter moving forward as well.
Yeah, no doubt. They've already said one-turn races for him. I think he's pretty good. I mean, any horse that can come out and flash that kind of early speed is going to be tough. And I think, Safi's going to put that horse in the right spots going forward. I don't blame him for taking the shot. Hell, they finished second in the Fountain of Youth. So it was a good experiment. But, yeah, going forward, one-turn races, I would take him serious in about anything he's going to enter next out if it's a mile or less.
Yeah, exactly. I think you summed it up perfectly. I have nothing to add other than the only thing out of that race is Prime Factor should be running in allowance races. That's it. And I said on the live stream, this horse stinks.
Yeah.
I saw enough. I guess it goes back to maybe the Todd Pletcher point. His barn, it doesn't seem like they have any legitimate Kentucky Derby horses, which is fine. He's a great trainer. Nonetheless, Mark says, drain the clock versus Jackie's Warrior 1 turn. That would be fun because they both need the lead. They're both – it seems like to me it's one of those races where immediately Mike Somich would say, okay, this is going to break down. I'll take a closer. That's possible, but that would be fun. I don't think that's in the plans as of right now, but we'll see. We have a few more topics to get to, not Kentucky Derby stuff. Thank you guys for those comments. I just want to bring up this point, and we could go through it quick because maybe you have a different opinion. I don't want to see all these top 3-year-olds run against each other. It's nice in the build-up. And what I mean by that is, like, we try to build the Kentucky Derby to be the biggest race in this country, maybe the Breeders' Cup Classic for some, for if you like older horses. But I believe it's a Triple Crown. That's what people that aren't horse racing fans get involved with. When they kind of do battle early on, it could go two ways. And this is why I'm not going to give my opinion. I want to get your thoughts. It's like we just saw Oklahoma State play for the second time. I would love to see that game for a third time. I'd love it. Sometimes when you see these horses do battle and one beats another by like 4 or 5 lengths, it kind of takes that allure away at the Kentucky Derby. Yeah. Well, I guess I want to throw it to you. I don't know if that made sense, if that analogy made sense. I hope it did for everyone listening. Are you a fan of these horses really doing battle, like in the Rebel or the Southwest? We built up the Southwest bigger. It wasn't a showdown, really. Essential Quality ran away. Are you in favor of these horses coming together earlier, whether it's February, March, or do you want to see them all come in on a high note and let them duke it out in the Kentucky Derby and the rest of the Triple Crown Trail? Which way are you leaning, just from a fan and I guess an insider's perspective, because you have a lot of knowledge? Oh,
I'd much rather have these every week be a big race. I'd much rather see Jackie's Warrior Essential Quality in the Southwest. I mean, even though it didn't turn out to be a match race or anything like we thought, the buildup of that was great. I love to look at the San Felipe and say, holy cow, there's 4 or 5 Derby horses on this. This is going to be awesome this weekend. As opposed to, the Gotham or I guess you could say Tampa's going to have a big field. It's just those horses. I don't think they're very good, but no, I want deep competitive fields all across the board. And I want the stars to face each other. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Especially and from a handicapping standpoint, I really don't think it's a bad thing at all, because then we got a really good gauge as we go into the biggest race of the year. That's kind of important to hit. So, no, I love it. I wish they would always, match up against each other before the big one.
Yeah, I don't think, I'm looking at it now. I don't think, thinking about it, I should say, I don't think that's a stupid question, because to Mark's point, there are just only so many places you could run. I mean, yeah, you can run them. I don't know. You could run them at Aqueduct, but that's just like doesn't make sense. Like essentially, you kind of have Florida, kind of have Oaklawn or Gulfstream or Tampa. Oaklawn and California, Santa Anita, like you are kind of limited. So that's fair. I just thought, I guess the question was more so because we're doing this every day, every week, every month. So for us, we'd like to see it because we're tired of mating claiming Florida bred. Those horses are disgusting. But at the same time, that's why we want to see it. But I didn't know if the general fan has said, give me all the best horses at the Kentucky Derby, even if they're not that good. So I guess that was just a question for maybe some people had. Real quick before we move on to a topic that's interesting. Jared says, for you, I'm going to throw it to you. Any thoughts on the Great One? Initial thoughts? What are you looking for? Things like that, maybe.
Yeah, I like the Great One. He was a runner-up in the Los Alamitos Futurity. Spielberg won the race, but the Great One is stepping up the ladder, it seems like, as far as performance. That was a really good breakout performance in the Los Alamitos Futurity, and then next out in his maiden, he absolutely romped over there at Santa Anita. Now he goes to San Felipe. I think he is the upsetter this weekend. I think he's got a great shot. Tune in Friday to see who I actually pick. I got to make that decision later on this afternoon, Jared. So I will definitely be diving into those past performances as soon as that comes out. And the article will be up on the website tomorrow with the full preview of the San Felipe. So, but yes, overall, I do like the Great One quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a nice little segue. For me, the horse that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, I think, Aaron, again, I got the Essential Quality thing wrong, so I don't want to do that again. He did not pick Jackie's Warrior. He picked Essential Quality. I know he was, at the time when we first talked about it, he was like going back and forth, but landed on Essential Quality. Smart pick by you, not a smart pick by me. The horse that I'm still interested in, and I don't know if he's a true legitimate horse, but Roman Centurion. I think he was like 50-1. I still see upside with that horse. So that's the West Coast horse that maybe people aren't quite talking about. I believe that's the Doug O'Neill trainee. I hope that's off the top of my head. Real quick, I had a conversation with my dad, and he's a big harness guy. And I said, I can't, or standard bred, if you go by that. Mm-hmm. The claiming, the language is a little different. So I looked yesterday, I was looking, I believe, at Oaklawn or whatever. And the question for you is, when they say starter allowance, and then you have to go through all that language, why not at the end put in parentheses the little symbol of what the race shows up in the past performances? So for example, if it's starter allowance for a horse that's never won anything other than like a claiming state bred maiden, it says like starter, then the number, and then non-1X, so non-winners of one other than. Put that in the past performances in that race, or put that at the logo, in the language, Doesn't that make sense? Because a lot of tracks, and I think a lot of people get confused, the different circuits have different symbols and different languages. Like Belmont has 2 turf courses. Try to have more language. Is that something you'd want to see? Granted, we look at this every day. So for us, it's different. But for some people, like claiming CLM 32,000, that's pretty straightforward. But what if it's claiming condition? Or sometimes, like, I think the language could be a little bit better. If you don't agree with my point, is there something maybe in the past performances that you'd like to see for maybe a general fan or for you off the top of your head that you think could give you a better a tip, some inside knowledge, or just help the game out? Is there anything that you'd like to see real quick past performances wise get improved a little bit?
Well, thankfully for me, I don't use DRF and haven't for many years, and I use Timeform, and I can just click on each race and it has a full description of what that race was. So for me, no, I think Timeform has everything you need and everything you would want within a past performance. Yeah, I mean, as far as DRF, sure, some kind of any extended information is good. So I agree with you. But like I said, for me, I don't run into that problem. To Jared's point, I'd like to see clearer workouts. But here's the problem with workouts. If you ever are at the track in the morning and you go and you watch the activity, it is a lie that they're getting all these workouts correct. Like it would be absolutely impossible. It's an impossible job. Now, when Monomoy girls out there, sure, I think they're focused. They see it. They know what happened. They probably know the plan beforehand. But in these claiming races, if you're looking at workouts real hard, probably should go with a different angle because it is a mess out there. You don't know if the trainer wants to work on 3 furlongs or 4 or 5. It's all a big guess. So clearer workouts, honestly, the whole system needs to be changed of how the workouts happen for that to start to take place. It is a 3-ring circus in the morning at a racetrack.
Yeah, real quick on workouts, I think 2 things need to be clear. One, a schedule needs to be produced that this horse will run in the morning at this time. Not for us. Maybe it's not open to the public, but for the clockers. The next thing is if you do that, you have the horses ready to go. And if they all start at the point, you could start them in the backstretch, wherever you want to start them. If you want to run them 6 furlongs, you could start them longer, whatever. Yeah. It'll give the clockers a better indication of how to do. If you give them a schedule right, they're guessing. So, and if you're looking at workouts for claiming horses that have run 20 times, you're wasting your time. It's good for first-time starters, good for big races with long layoffs, and things like that. You don't need to see it for a horse who's running every 3 or 4 weeks. That's a good point that Aaron made. And yes, I love the Saratoga comment. I love watching morning works at Saratoga. It is kind of a cluster, yes, because they literally promote their morning works. Like they advertise you coming to eat breakfast during their morning works. I've never seen anything like it. It's almost like an afternoon. Yeah. You almost have to get up at 5:30, get there, come back, take a nap, and come back because it's an extremely long day if you want to do that. Real quick, Dennis says, I think an exercise rider should be clear because a boy going 5 is going to be timed differently. Oh, in the mornings? Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they're all pretty much about the same weight, though. I don't think that makes too much of a difference. And they do a good job of the past performances indicating a 5, 7, 10-pound allowance. Obviously, the less experienced, they're not as good. They get 10 pounds. And then once you get to 5 pounds, that's it. then you become a full-time rider. Real quick, to that point, I guess I kind of opened Pandora's box here. What do you guys go by in a maiden special weight with a bunch of first-time starters, pedigree, trainer stats, other angles? For me, I'm all about trainer stats, first-time angles. I do that over pedigree, especially if the trainer's good, for two reasons. One, they're with this horse every day. Mm-hmm. If they have good first-time starter stats, like Asmussen's really good, he breeds a lot of speed into his runners early. So if they come out and they're sprinting, that's one I'm going to look into. Other angles, if it's a first-time starter against what I think are career maidens, sometimes I'll write down and I'll write CM, career maiden. Never want them. If you're 0 for 8, don't want you. I'll take a first-time starter. Aaron, for you, which one of these two would you take, or maybe another angle that you look at with first-time starters?
Trainer stats are the big two for first-timers. Honestly, if it's a big race, we at least have hype on who's been doing well and who the trainer likes and doesn't like. So that plays a factor. But overall, if I'm looking at a race and I don't have any inside knowledge of it, you look at the pedigree and you look at the trainer stats. I mean, that's the two best things you can do. These horses are bred to do certain things, and sometimes they start them off and it may not be the perfect race for them, or sometimes they start them off and it will be, So that's just the two biggest angles you can always look for. And some trainers are really great with first-time starters and some aren't, and that is a big factor.
Yeah, real quick, Mark says prevalence is one I never would have gotten. Yeah, a lot of people wouldn't have. And Dennis says, yeah, good job to me opening questions. Yeah, I'm trying to be interactive with you guys. But we are going to get to Gulfstream now. I do appreciate Aaron sitting through the first half hour because I know he wants to handicap, and his last week was stressful. So he wants to talk horses. That's what he does. That's what I do. So that's what we're going to get to here. Here are the entries for the 7th race. I'll introduce that. There are a few scratches that we'll get to. But real quick, thank you guys for your comments on that. That was great, just interacting with you guys, getting in your thoughts and ideas and things like that. And hopefully, as a whole, horse racing will be a little bit more clear on their past performances. And if you get to the track, please try to watch Morning Works. I think it's great, and it's free. Most places, Saratoga, maybe not. And also, if you're at the track, please give away your programs for free. Unless it's Breeders' Cup Day, stop with charging everyone $2. People spend $200. Give it away for free. Be a good people.
Breeders' Cup programs are actually free as well now. So
yeah, so if the Breeders' Cup are free, I don't need to pay $1 when I go to Monmouth. Stop with that. And that's just a side note. That's me going on a tangent. All right, race 7. We always start with Aaron because he is the dude. He is one half of the dudes. So we always let him go first. We'll start with race 7. You can see our stuff scrolling at the bottom. This is claiming 35,000 through 25,000 for 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 mile on the turf, 8 furlongs. That is 2 turns on the turf. There's one scratch, not a few. The 6, Durocher, or I hope I said that right, is scratched. Aaron, I will throw it to you, as I always do, to kick us off. What are we thinking here, race 7 at Gulfstream Park on Wednesday afternoon?
Yeah, so just real quick before I start, I've been saving this one. A highly anticipated return of Coffee Buzz Buzz at Gulfstream. Thank you for not entering that horse in the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th race today. He's in the 4th, I believe. I actually picked him on top. Can he finally get it done today? I'm excited as well. So, but again, that would have been the 4th time that horse has been on the show if he would have been in the last 4 races.
For the record, I put him on top too.
Okay, so there you go. Coffee Buzz Buzz. Today is the day. All right, 7th race at Gulfstream. It really seems to me it's down to 2 horses between the 2 and the 8. So I did a $5 exacta box with the 2 and the 8 in there. It seems as simple to me as the 2 is going to get out in front, and can the 8 catch it late? The 2 looks like Lone Speed to me, and the 2 being Dundalk looks like Lone Speed to me. You look at the last, I'm counting it now, like 8 races. This horse has been ahead in every one of them. And then you look at the other horses, and I don't see a ton of speed. So I think the 2 gets out in front. Can the 8 second mate run him down? That is going to be the big question. The 8 takes a major drop in class. And while the 8 has been further back in some of those races, as we like to talk about, Ricky, I bet the 8's a little bit closer to the pace today because it's a lower level. And I think the 8 might be able to catch the 2 because of that. But I did not want to play the 8 to win. So that's why I went the 2-8 exacta box to kick us off.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. On paper, this kind of does look like a race that's probably going to be won by either of these two. I have a few different points, and then I'll add to another horse. I'll add another horse to the sequence. The two Dundalk should be on the lead. I think that's obvious in Gulfstream Park. If you listen to us over the weekend, speed on the turf is just impossible to try to not include. Even if the horse is that horse honestly better be 40-1 to not include. If you are 15-1 or shorter, you have to include, unless you really want to play short. And if that's the case, then you could play a $4 pick four, $5 pick four. Because to get through and feel safe, you got to include a horse like Dundalk, and he fits. Yeah, faltered a little bit, but at 10-1, you could assume that he was a little bit over his head. 7-2 morning line's a better indication. Real quick, one thing you didn't talk about, second mate. Second mate lost to Venezuelan Hug twice in a row. Venezuelan Hug just won this past weekend in the Canadian turf, making that his third win in a row. And I talked about the Saratoga Derby before. He finished 8th in the Belmont Derby, just to give you an indication of some of the runners, if you guys are interested. Gaffoe, No Word, Mo Ready, A Journey to Freedom, Pixelate, Moon Over Miami, and South Bend, who is a dirt runner. Just to give you an indication of some of the horses that he lost to, those are literally like the best 3-year-old turf runners in the country. So if he wasn't entered in there, he would have been on a 4-race win streak. Venezuelan Hug. So let's not take that away. Real quick, you didn't talk about the 3 Honey Won't. I don't like, and this is your angle. I know you hate when a horse goes from like Bill Mott to Juan Arias. I know that's your angle, so that's probably why you didn't include him. I just thought that if Dundalk were to get pressed and second mate were to be coming from the clouds, this is the horse that I want in that tier B. I don't think he's more talented than second mate. I don't think he's more talented than Dundalk, but I see a horse like the 1 Salute the Colonel be forwardly pressed. I think the 7 Freedom's Fight might show a little bit more speed dropping from maiden special weight than to an allowance at Ellis Park, granted not having been run since July. I just said this is a horse I think might be sitting like the dream trip, and immediately if Honey Won't somehow wins, I want nothing to do with him next time out, just in this spot. To that, what do you think about Honey Won't? I know you only used the 2-8, but real quick, give me some thoughts on Honey Won't.
Yeah, I had the 3 and third, so I'm with you on this one. It's the trip. It really is the trip. This horse should get that stalking trip, and if the 8. Maybe the 8's just kind of done. Maybe they've dropped it and they're just giving up on it. Maybe there's a little issue with the 8. Well, all of a sudden, the 3 becomes the second most likely winner of the race, and so I get it. I'm interested to see how you structure the rest of your ticket. I know it, but I'm just playing with you. But I do think because you're going to use the 3, you got to go short somewhere else. So let's be interested to see where you do there. But I don't hate it, and I agree. I think if the horse trips out, then the horse has a shot to pull off a little bit of a mild upset here. And I think you're going to get every bit of 9-2. Because I think the 2 and the 8 are going to take the money.
Yeah, real quick, if you look at the 2, and I think this is why Aaron maybe didn't single the 2. Yes, the speed is important on Dundalk, but in all of his races, he falters. Yeah, and this is a horse that if you want, yes, it's probably going to go gate to wire. That's why Aaron, I'm guessing, one of the reasons he used second mate. Not only is second mate probably more talented, just this 2 Dundalk doesn't seem to get the job done in 27 starts. 13 second and thirds with only 4 wins. Yeah. So he belongs here. But a horse like Honey Won't might only have to pass 1 or 2 horses, and Dundalk doesn't seem to hold him off. Yeah. Let's go to arguably the best race I've ever seen. No, I'm kidding. This race is horrible. Claiming 6,250 for 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 1/16 miles on the dirt. There are a few comments that we can get to that I just missed. The 7 Eastern Symphony is out there. There's a question I shouldn't have introduced this. Dennis used. I went to the 2 horse. Yeah, I think the 2, 3, and 8 are logical. In the 7th race. All right, I went. I'm not going to give the obvious horse. I'm going to let you do that because I like you. I'm going to go with the 6. I used 2 horses. The heavy favorite But I went to the 6 for this reason. I think Excalibur is interesting here. Now, Irad Ortiz hops off the heavy favorite. Now, I don't know if it's a hop off necessarily, or One-Eyed Jack, who I'll let you get a little bit more into, loses Todd Pletcher, so Safi Joseph goes with Tyler. I don't have any info. I'll be completely honest. I'm just looking at it on its face. Maybe you do. Maybe someone could chime in. But I said, Irad Ortiz is going to hop on a horse that hasn't been great? Okay, that's interesting to me. Irad's definitely more aggressive. Obviously, Luis Saez is as well. But I think he might be a tad behind One-Eyed Jack. And I look at One-Eyed Jack, I think this is a touch long for him. I would have liked to see One-Eyed Jack at that 7.5. I know 7.5 furlongs is on the turf at Gulfstream, but maybe even a mile. This is a touch longer. If we go at the mile and a 16th over the summer, Danny California is a good runner, claiming runner now, I believe, over a muddy track. And then a mile and a 16th at Laurel, February 1st, he won there, broke the maiden at 1-5. So we don't know what the heck that is. I just think Excalibur has proven that he can go this distance. And the only time I should say that he won a mile and a 16th, he finished second. So maybe this distance is good for him. I'll let you touch on the 4 a little bit, One-Eyed Jack a little bit more, and another horse that I believe you used that I was a little bit intrigued in, but I didn't get on the ticket.
Yeah, the number 4, One-Eyed Jack, obviously looks to be the best horse in this race by a mile. And I really don't think the mile and 16 is a problem because he won at a mile and an eighth at Laurel. The only, it's a big issue is Safi claims this horse for 12.5, and now we're in for 6.5. I mean, that is a big sign of, that could be a problem. He makes it complicated. The 4 really makes the race complicated that he's in here. Had to use him, did not feel confident enough to make a win bet on him. So I paired him, and the 6 was my third choice. So we have been really close on all of our thoughts so far. But Alejandro's Team is who I had in second and who I paired a One-Eyed Jack in with an Exacta. So a 1-4 Exacta box for $5 here. I like that the horse gets back to the dirt. They've tried the horse on turf a million times, and he just doesn't run very well on it. But broke his maiden on the dirt at the 12K level here at Gulfstream. Went up to an allowance on the dirt and was 4th at Gulfstream Park West, and then another allowance was 3rd at Gulfstream Park West. Now you're dropping all the way down to the 6.5 claiming level. I think this horse has probably got a pretty good shot to pull an upset here. I think this horse seems to be a little classier than everybody in the race. The dirt should be fine. A mile and 16th should be fine. And it gets Junior Alvarado. For my money, the best jockey at Gulfstream right now is Junior Alvarado. So I'll take a shot with Alejandro's Team in the Exacta box here with One-Eyed Jack. So I went 1-4.
Yeah, it's interesting. Real quick, Dennis says, I'm surprised that you didn't, Aaron is all about the $20 win bets when he sees fit. Right, this isn't a rate, for Aaron's, and I can't single, but this is to Dennis's point. I guess it makes a little sense if you get the purse, the win purse, and then the tag, and you add that on top. That I guess that makes sense, and there's money in Safi's pocket, but
yeah, you run for 12, you get even more. That's I'm not saying it's not a profit, but it's like, you put him in a 12K claimer and you win, and that's double what you're going to get here if he gets claimed.
Right, and at the 12.5 level, he lost by a length. It's not like he lost by 8 lengths and was horrible. So this drop, that's why I didn't single. But to Alejandro's Team, this is the point. I'm happy we talked about pedigree a little bit. The Kitten's Joy pedigree suggests that this horse should be on the turf. The problem is this horse sucks on the turf.
Yeah.
So what took so long to get this horse back to the dirt? I did like that horse. I did not include that horse in this sequence, but that is a horse that I'm a little bit worried about. It's one of those things like, I'm not criticizing the connections. I'm not criticizing Jose D'Angelo. Maybe, for the sake of the conversation, he's only winning at 7%. But a trainer like Safi Joe, Juan Carlos Avila, pick anyone, Pletcher, Tomlinson. I'm picking Antonio Sano.
Mhm.
The better trainers recognize that this horse just doesn't, even though the pedigree suggests turf, he's just better on the dirt. And to Aaron's point, he's finished in the money in 2 of his 3 dirt races. And even one of his most recent one was a race taken off the dirt, which
all 3 of his races on the dirt were taken off the turf.
So this is his first scheduled dirt race. And this is a big drop in class. This is a horse that has to be taken seriously. And Aaron would be the first one on the Junior Alvarado fan tour if you saw him on Saturday. And I don't blame him for that, because we were all over Junior Alvarado early, and he's proven it's like Junior Alvarado for him, Julian Leperoux for me. But jockeys are only as good. I've been saying this forever. Jockeys are only as good as what they're on top of. Again, let's be normal. Well, what they're riding, folks, not on top of. He's a big Bill Mott guy. When Bill Mott does well, Junior Alvarado does well. If you look at Bill Mott's numbers, they're soaring. Yep. Junior Alvarado, it's the same thing. He's up to 14%. Yeah, that's not world beater, but take a look at where he was at the beginning of the meet. If we just probably took the numbers from the last 4 to 6 weeks, I'm guessing Junior Alvarado is in that 18 to 20% category. That would be my guess. It's like a batting average. He's probably hitting like 260. He's probably hitting 350 over the last couple weeks to a month, because Bill Mott's gotten hotter, and so is he. That is a horse to be concerned with. Let's see. Dennis says Safi 44% off the drop in class. Yeah, all these are fine, but you're gonna have to take a short price. I think there's one other horse you could include. Jared Bush says real quick. So if the 7 is out, who completes the try? For me, it would have been. I threw the 1 in there. That would have been the try for me. Aaron, real quick, if there's a try horse for you, anyone you're interested in?
I thought if you wanted an underneath horse, the 8, Tis Light the Way, kind of fit that bill a little bit. Could kind of close late, get up for a piece. I don't think any shot of winning, but this horse, has shown at times that he can close and kind of make an impact.
Yeah. So that's it. No one has a try box. Aaron is the try and exacta guy. So if he doesn't have it, I definitely don't have it. Let's move on to the next race. And this is interesting. I hate these races. I find these to be some of the tougher ones. Let's take that comment out of there. Good comment though. Allowance optional claiming $35,000 for fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and upward, going 1 1/2 miles on the turf. I'll tell this to anyone listening. If you're new to the show, thank you guys for tuning in. They are not done when they cross the finish line one time. Don't get confused. You don't necessarily want to be it's a misconception if you don't know. It's 12 furlong. So they are going to make 1.5 laps, really. Aaron, I'll throw it to you. These races are always tough because a lot of the horses don't have experience at the distance. You're trying to figure out who's going to come from the clouds maybe, or who's going to have the lead. I went really, really deep. I'm going to throw it to you here because we stay in order. That's what we do. What were you thinking in the 9th race? I think it'd be very impossible to narrow it down to a few.
Yeah, okay. So this is a race where I've taken a shot against the favorite. And if you're playing like a pick 3, pick 4, I would not really advise to go against the 9, but I'm trying to create some value. So I went with a 50-cent trifecta box, 2, 5, 6, and 8. And it's not just a blind shot against the 9. I think the 9 is going to be way back, okay? And I don't want that at Gulfstream right now at all. So I did go the 2, 5, 6, and 8 trifecta box here. I settled on the 5 as my top pick. Last time out, I used this horse. It was the first time off of a little bit of a freshening. First time going this distance. Well, they went 1 mile and 7/16, so a very odd distance, a little further today. Came running late, got 3rd, beaten 2 1/4, got beat by Cristal, who is a pretty decent horse. So I thought the 5, this time out would be pretty interesting. And then I started looking for some speed in the race. There's not a ton of great speed, but a horse that I think is very interesting at 15 to 1 is the number 2, Cloud 10. Last time out, going 1 mile and 1/8, the horse didn't have a very good start, found itself really close to the lead by the 2nd call, was right up there in 2nd, actually took the lead at one point, and then went on and kicked away to break the maiden there at Tampa. I think the horse gets out in front today. I look at the race, and it's like, I don't see a whole lot of other speed. Going a mile and a half with this pedigree, I don't hate that. I think it's a pretty good pedigree to go that distance. I thought the 2 was an interesting horse here to maybe throw in. And I also, my third choice would be the 8. I think this is another one that is going to find herself forwardly placed in the spot. And that's what I want at Gulfstream. I want horses that are up there close. Danny Gargan on fire. So I think the 8 is going to be up there and have a little bit of shot to stay this trip. So again, speed is kind of what I looked for here.
Aaron, off the top of your head, do you know how big Belmont track is, the main track?
Yes, it's a mile and a half all the way around.
Yes, 1 for 1. You are correct. A lot of people don't know that. But the segue I'm going to make is, I don't know if you know what the turf courses are. You want to take a shot at what the 2 turf course distances are? It's a little tricky off the top of your head. I see Mike in the background thinking as well. It's tricky. I know it off the top of my head, but I'll throw it to you. There's 2 turf courses.
Yeah.
And you want to take a guess? The inner, outer?
The outer would be a mile and 3/8, maybe.
Close, a mile and 5/16. I got to give you a point for that. That's going to be tough.
And then the inner would be a mile and a 16th, probably.
All right, a mile and 3/16. And the reason I did that, first of all, I only know it because I live here. But if that was an Oaklawn question, I would have known. The reason I get to that, I always look for races. I always look for horses coming from Belmont. The reason is those turf courses, they're not that many turns either. It's really important to see if I looked at the runners here. First of all, real quick, the 1 Lido Key is out and the 7, My Last First Kiss, is out. I forgot to add that. None of these horses have ever gone this distance, so you don't have to look at distance. I'm giving you that now. None of them have ever gone a mile and a half. But some of these horses have gone longer distances at Belmont, and I think you could project some of that here. Now, granted, that was a long time ago for some of them. Like, for example, Setting the Mood did it in June. Passive Investing, well, I'm not going to use, did it in October. Your Horse, She Throws the Heat, did it October 11th. Valletta, same thing. Granted, it was a little bit shorter. I think that's something to keep an eye on because we're always trying to look for these races. They're really interesting. I'm going to throw a few horses out to you that we didn't talk about. Do you know what a shark says, Aaron? I'm going to throw it to you. Do you know what a shark says? Because I don't, but I like the horse. What does a shark say? The 6 horse. What does a shark say? 5 to 1. Yeah. This is the horse that I think can maybe get to the lead also. Just to throw to your point, he threw his hands up because now I'm just asking ridiculous questions. But what does a shark say for Jimmy Toner? Can he be even more forwardly placed here? Has some of that Belmont stuff, ran at Saratoga, and then came to Gulfstream. It was his first race since August 26th, and I don't think he was that bad. It was the race you talked about with Cristal. She Throws the Heat, finished a little bit ahead of her. I think that's a horse we want to use. To use the Valletta, I use Margaret's Joy very, very tentatively, like very tentatively. I wouldn't be surprised if you wanted to. You could just throw her out. I didn't like the Endeavor at all. Yes, counterparty risk is better than her, but I don't know. I think this is going to be very, very interesting. The other horse that I don't think you mentioned, Setting the Mood. It's weird. Setting the Moon's been horrible recently, but in her best races, last summer, she wasn't bad. And I think this race is better than that. Tried the Belmont Oaks. Wasn't going to work out. I don't know. Did you consider Setting the Mood? I think 12 to 1 is a price I can get on board with. For the record, I also included the 1 Lido Key, and obviously Lido Key is out. So I'm down to 5. Real quick, before I let you touch on Setting the Mood, please do not go short in this race. Please. Like, we are begging you. If you're playing the way I play, fine. I think this is a nice exacta tri-box race as well. You should not get a heavy favorite. And if you do in the 9, please play against. Aaron, real quick, what do you think about Setting the Mood or another runner that we maybe didn't touch on yet?
Yeah, Setting the Mood, the same problem. I'm worried that she's going to be a little too far back. It's just the same issue with the 4 and the 9. The 9, what makes the 9 a little scary is the breeding, the English Channel going a mile and a half. I mean, obviously that's right there. Why you've probably got to defensively use that horse in your pick 4. But Yeah, listen, your point on the 6 was my fourth choice, the fourth horse I threw in the try box. I'm kind of with you. The horse just consistently runs well and consistently has races going, not a mile and a half, like you pointed out, but a couple of mile and a quarter races. This horse, the distance isn't going to bother the horse. So maybe with a little improvement today, she can get the job done. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to try to go against the 9 for the try. And then, I'm not real confident this horse is going to win. So, I understand if you're going to try to defensively use the horse with the breeding. But you're right. I mean, that race in the Endeavor, you look at it and go, well, it got third in a graded stakes, but this horse never was there making a run. Never was within range of winning the race. This is the better way to put it. Made a run, but just never within range. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen again today. But I get that you have her on the ticket for sure.
For real quick, we'll get to a few comments. For me, I don't think the Endeavor Stakes, it was that great. Like I could have seen the Endeavor as a non-graded in terms of the field. I know it was a G3, but so we can't sometimes we've seen weak G1 races, weak grade 1 races. It is what it is. Whether horses are injured, whether they're not at that track, they don't want to make the trip, whatever it is, maybe there's they got pulled up, whatever it is, and then the schedule gets thrown off. Just because it's a grade 3, sometimes you really got to dive into those fields. I don't think it was that good. I like counterparty risk. That's about it. I didn't like anything else there. So I think it's a defensive use. And Michelle, I think Mihei, 5%. I'm not going all in on a 5% trainer, even though Junior Alvarado is, we're looking at his number 1 fan. Let's get to a few comments. We'll let a 4 furlong workout. I think Jared meant to say 47 and 3, I believe. For me, it doesn't make that big of a deal. I look at Danny Gargan more. Aaron, for you, I kind of assume you're on the same wavelength. You're looking more at the Danny Gargan angle more than you are a workout type of thing.
Well, I meant like earlier in the show, what did I say? I don't think workouts are accurate at all for the lower level horses. It's a cluster. Maybe the horse went 47 and 3. Maybe it went 48 and 3. Maybe it went 50 and 3. I don't trust there's any way of reliably knowing what that horse did. So if it's not the big horses, I don't even look at workouts.
Dennis says, if I was going for a price, I know Ricky isn't going to be a fan of a Woodbine turf horse. Yeah, I think all those horses should go hang out on the beach. Maybe if I could get to Gulfstream, I'll hang out with all the Woodbine turf horses because they're more useful on the beach than they are on the track. How about this? Not only do I not like not only do I like turf runners coming from Woodbine, I combined it. I saw what Diamond Sparkles did in a race here at Gulfstream at the allowance optional 25 and was horrible. So I don't know what I'm supposed to include. And to Aaron's point, I should have kept that up so Aaron can speak. Sorry. I'm going to be coming from the clouds, and I just don't necessarily want that. Aaron, for you, Diamond Sparkles, did you consider it all?
No, not really. I didn't look at that one much, to be honest. And again, it's the same reason, another one that's going to be way back. But second off a layoff, I guess there's that going for you. Pedigree wise, this horse should be able to get the distance. So that's another thing going. But yeah, no, this was not one I included.
Yeah. Also, if we're looking at Diamond Sparkles, hasn't won a race since I was in high school. Not even close. 1 second place finish, 1 third place finish in 6 races dating back to the beginning of 2020. Not one I'm interested in. I went 3 deep with 5, 8, 9. We're on the 5, 8, 9. I think, Mark, if you want to kind of put those 3 above the rest, that's a good one. Real quick, Jared says Leparoux on the turf is solid. I used the 4 instead of the 1. The 1 is out, so decision doesn't have to be made. Let's move on to the 10th race, 16,000 claimers. Yeah, real quick, last race for the 9th race, I should say. Try to, if you're playing the way I play, take as many as you can or what you're comfortable with playing. I think it's important. We'll go to the 10th race, 16,000 claimers for 4-year-olds and upward, going 5 furlongs on the turf. If you know me, this is my type of race. I love them. Turf sprints, can't get a drink of water or anything because you're going to miss it. I'll start here. And I'm going to take two runners. I'll just talk about two because they're coming out of the same race. I think the 4 Discretionary Mark and the 9 Dugout are just simply better than the rest. I put Dugout on top, actually, because I think Dugout is a little bit quicker. He proved he can go 21-3 last time out at the 16,000 level, at this level. I'm not sure who's really going to be able to compete with him. I think the 6 Earth will try, but that's really about it. Maybe the 10 fixed point, but I wasn't worried about legitimate speed. And what I mean by legitimate speed versus cheap speed, Aaron's talked about this a lot. There are horses that are going to be on the lead and be honestly like a nuisance and then fall out. Earth is that. Fixed point is that. But Dugout will probably get to the speed and hold on. I know this is Aaron's angle. He doesn't like the Larry Ravelli to Amador Sanchez, but I've talked about this before. It was a Jose Garofalo horse, maybe last week or the week before. He's keeping him at this level. He's not trying to move him up. He's not moving him down. He's just got to make sure the horse doesn't run into a brick wall. Just keep him. Just whatever they're doing, keep him. So I put the Dugout on the Dugout. I put the 9 Dugout on top. And I do want to be in a dugout. Get some baseball back into us. And I used the 4 Discretionary Mark. I think those two are much better. I did use a little bit of a price, as you guys can see. I'm going to throw it to Aaron, though. I do think the 4 and 9 are much better than the rest. I see you use them, too. Talk about the 2 other horses. One I did use, one that I didn't use.
Yeah, 50-cent trifecta box to close this out, 1, 4, 8, and 9. And like you said, you covered the 4 and 9 well enough. And very logical horses, I think, here. The 1 is a bit interesting to me. Dropped down to this level last time out, got second by a neck. This is a horse that's pretty tactical, gets the rail, could save all the ground. And if Ortiz gets a spot, open late in the stretch there, I think this horse has got a shot to win. 8-1 is a really good price on this one, too. It could really spice up the trifecta that I'm going to play. So I thought the 1 was very logical. And then the 8, I thought the 8 What's Inside came off a long layoff last time out, ran at this level, was 4th, beaten a length. If we see a little bit of progression off that layoff, I think the 8 fits with these, and I think the 8 will be right there. So the 1 and the 8 were the 2 that I included there with your 4 and 9. Real quick about your point about the claim, I agree. It's the same. It's the same race basically. So I think the 9 should be okay. The 4, maybe the quote unquote class of the field. This horse always seems to show up with a good effort, but also has trouble winning. So I think the 4 is really good for a trifecta. I don't know. Maybe this horse is just always going to be the bridesmaid. We'll see today. There really isn't a lot of excuses. The horse should be right there with a shot again.
Yeah, that was the other horse. Aaron kind of alluded. The 1. What's Inside? Does he have anything inside? Who knows at this point? But for a try box, makes sense. Real quick with the 1 might just be sitting that dream trip, folks. If the cheap speed does get to the 9 Dugout, you would see a horse like Discretionary Mark and 7 Gems make their move. I think the 9 found his friends last time. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah, 16,000 level. That's probably where he belongs. He probably has some friends down at that level, and he's probably better than his friends. Real quick deal. Let's get to a couple scratches here. The 11 Station Rock is out. The 12 Marcelino will stay in. And then you have the 13 and 14 Gnarly and Doc Amster. Those 2 horses are out. 13 and 14 are MTOs. The 11 is the only scheduled runner who is out. Let's get to a couple comments. I thought the 1 was interesting. If he if he runs his last race, the last time he could be a serious contender. Yeah, that's why we used him. There's plenty of value, like plenty. If you're going to give me him at 8-1 versus the 9 at 4-1, I don't think one horse is 2 times a likely winner. I don't believe that. And that's what the odds indicate, whether it's even money to 2-1, 2-1, 4-1, 4-1, 8-1, so on and so forth. That's what the public is saying, that someone is 2 times as likely to win. I don't think Aaron and I necessarily believe that. Mark goes 1, 2, 4, 8, 9. Okay, the 2 scares me though. So he's worried about the 2. Mm-hmm. Freshman Street coming off a layoff, could be a wire threat. Are you concerned about having the 2. I have a point that I'll make. Hopefully you don't get to this point because I want to make it, but I'm going to throw it to you first. Are you concerned about the 2 Frenchman Street?
No, listen, it's first time Safi, so obviously you could see some improvement. I just didn't think the horse was quite good enough, and the horse hasn't won in a long time. And another one that going to drop way down in class, first time for Safi. I don't know. I mean, I'm not real worried about the 2, I guess is the best way to sum it up. There were a lot of negatives for me.
Yeah. You didn't make this point, but I agree with everything you just said. For me, Frenchman Street kind of had his chance. Granted, the race was taken off the turf, excuse me, and he did steady. He had his chance, and Safi Joseph had him at that time at the 12,005 level, 500 level. This horse won once last year, has a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. I'm not overly concerned, and I don't believe Mark said it could be a wire-to-wire threat. He's never shown that he's really got that early speed, so I'm not kind of worried about that. The bullet work was nice, 3 furlong and 34, but Aaron kind of just disputed all those workout reports. Yes, clocker reports, they're important and things like that. But at this level, I think we kind of, when a horse has run 31 times, we know what he is. So we don't need to see it. The more experience they have on the track, the less the workouts, mean, unless there's like a legitimate comment like hobbling or something like that, or it was hot, was sweating or something like that. But outside of that, I think that's where the description means more than the actual times. And a lot of horses, they know when they're out there in the mornings, they might have to go 4 furlongs and they'll be a little bit easier on themselves. Just like Monomoy Girl pulled herself up after the Bayakoa. Well, the thing I noticed in the chat is if the horse is a price, it's not going to be a price. Yeah, the one won't be 8-1. I'd be shocked. Steve Claceris, Jose Ortiz, probably not going to get that. So Dennis has a fair point. And real quick thought, Hector Barrios was dangerous with the trainer, the 7. Okay. For me, real quick, I don't want to speak for Aaron, but for me, couldn't beat 7 Gems last time out and already lost the dugout discretionary mark and Tenacity Zip, who I'm not interested in. Which we didn't really talk about the 3. So for those reasons, as Mark Cuban says on what's the show? Oh God, Shark Tank. Yes, as he says, for all those reasons, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out as far as a win. If you wanted to play him like 3rd or 4th in a try or super, maybe, but. Yeah, I mean, this horse, it's been a long time since this horse has hit the winner's circle. I mean, a long time.
Yeah, exactly. And for the 7, Grand Malbec, only finished 2nd twice last year. So either he doesn't want to run anymore or no one's doing a good enough job of placing him properly. Either way, it's not a good sign. All right, that's going to do it for us. A little short today. We got a lot of stuff that we got through. Great stuff with Monomoy Girl, some Triple Crown stuff. Again, please tune in to Blinkers Off on Thursday. They never seem to figure out a time. Blame Jared for that. Aaron, I know, wants a schedule, but Jared's always up in the air. No, it'll be tomorrow night at some time. Well, probably won't be at 10:30 or 11 like last week when I was on. I think even Aaron is going to tell Jared, look, a little earlier this week.
I would guess anywhere between 7 and 8 Eastern time tomorrow we will be on for Blinkers Off. And then, of course, Magic Mike will be on at 5:30 Eastern tomorrow. Yeah,
they'll be on. You'll have us Thursday morning as well. We haven't decided if we're going to do Oaklawn or Gulfstream. We always lean Oaklawn, but we'll honestly, I'm not sure. I want to see how Gulfstream goes today.
Let me take a look here real quick.
Yeah, so Aaron will take a look. I'll do some wrap-up stuff. If he says we'll go to Oaklawn again, my logo says Ricky's Rockets, but my hat says Racing Dudes. And one of these heads, this one right here, is him. So he ultimately makes the call. If he wants to do Oaklawn, that's what we're going to do. But we're not sure he's going to look. Yes, Dennis says Oaklawn. So I don't know. You guys chime in. Real quick, TVG has a 10% bonus on try. So yeah, if you want to play along with Aaron, you get a little 10% bonus. That's always nice. Jared, thank you guys. Yes, we have as much fun as hopefully you guys do. I'll roll my 50-cent pick 4 ticket while Aaron kind of makes the ultimate decision whether we're heading to Hot Springs or we're heading to Hallandale Beach. Nonetheless, we are heading to a town where the first letter is H. We're not sure if it's Hot Springs or Hallandale Beach, but we're going to be at a place with an H. Maybe it's to a town near you. Maybe there's an H town near you. For me, starting race 7, I'll start with the 2-3-8 in race 7. I thought you could go a little bit shorter if you wanted to. You don't need the 3. Probably Honey won't. Dundalk and Second Mate will probably get the job done for 2 different reasons, but Dundalk tends to fail late. So that's important. The next one is the 4 and 6. I talked about IRAD hopping on the 6 for Jorge Delgado. Unfortunately, IRAD is like a must-use on every ticket for every race, whether you want to or not, unless the horse is horrible, but he doesn't get on bad horses. And the 4, One-Eyed Jack, Safi Joseph, Tyler Gaffleone. I have nothing else to add. The next race is the 1.5 mile turf race, 12 furlongs. Again, they're going to pass the wire once and then go all the way around again. So don't think this is like a 5 furlong sprint or 4 furlong, whatever it is. You're going to go around twice, so don't get excited the first time around. You can, but that doesn't mean you won. I think this is the race that you got to not hit the all button because you can eliminate. The 4 is a price. The 5, there are going to be a lot of prices. Be wary of the 9, Margaret's Joy. I almost would put Valletta on top if I had to. So be wary there. I went 4, 5, 6, 8, 9. I would have used the 1 Lido Key if Lido Key was running. And at the end, I used the 1, 4, 9. 7 Gems is a horse to keep an eye on, sitting that perfect trip along with discretionary mark if dugout gets pushed. That's a $45 ticket. Aaron, real quick, where are we headed tomorrow?
Well, first of all, I'll do my ticket just real quick. $5 back to box, 2-8 in race number 7. Really think that's a 2-horse race. And then in race 8, a $5 active box with the 1 and the 4. I am interested. I think the 1 could upset the 4. And then Ricky thought the 6 might be able to. So we think that 4 could be vulnerable on a suspicious drop. Race 9, 50-cent trifecta box, 2, 5, 6, and 8. And then race 10, a 50-cent trifecta box, 1, 4, 8, and 9, $44 total. So we're really similar today with horses and the total investment. Tomorrow, I think we should go to Oaklawn.
I don't even know why I left it up to you. I knew you were going to pick Oaklawn anyway.
Yeah, well, I did look at cards. Now Friday, maybe back to Gulfstream. I did look Friday real quick too, but Oaklawn for Thursday. I think that's a smart decision on our part because they look like they have a pretty good 4-race sequence there.
Yeah, and again, we do look at the whole card, but for the sake of this show, we do the last 4 races, whether it's 6 through 9 at Oaklawn or 7 through 10. So that's where we try to make our decision. Real quick, Aaron, I gotta do college basketball real quick. Talk about your boys. Cade Cunningham, I don't want to say has their number, but he is 2-0. One was an overtime game. He's done it at Stillwater. He's done it at Norman. Hopefully, that's why I said earlier as a little segue to the very end here. Hopefully, we could see that for a third time, and maybe Oklahoma can get the best of them. Well, give me your thoughts on the Sooners, and conference tournaments are starting, some of the lower ones. So if you like college basketball and you like it during the day and you want to get that March Madness going, we are officially in March. So give us what you're looking forward to, maybe March Madness-wise or Oklahoma-wise, Big 12, anything like that before we wrap up.
Big 12 tournament is going to be pretty darn good. There's a lot of really good teams. Well, there's 7 teams in the Big 12 that I think could be Sweet 16 types. Now, obviously, they all won't make it, but they're really good. So that's going to be a good tournament. As far as OU, I'm not upset with them. I mean, they're playing as good as they can play. So they just got beat legitimately twice, and that's kind of what happens when the other team has more talent than you. And I think that's the case with Oklahoma State. I think they're just a better team than Oklahoma. But it's close, and hopefully we'll see it next week in the Big 12 tournament. But anyway, I'm not upset, and I am very much looking forward to the next 2 weeks. with basketball, and hockey's heating up too. So yeah, it's been good. It's going to be a good 2 weeks for sports.
Yeah, March is always the best, not just Kentucky. I think March for horse racing is the most important because you eliminate you find out if horses are Triple Crown contenders. Yep. Then you have, then that kind of builds up. You see a lot of horses come back in bigger races like that took the rest of 2020 and the beginning of 2021 off. So you see a lot there. Then you have college basketball for a month, and then you lead for me right into baseball. Hopefully we can get back to the ballpark this summer. And then it's just a great month. Then you have playoffs, hockey, basketball. March is a great month for Aaron. To his point, he's got Baylor, Kansas, West Virginia, both Oklahoma teams, probably both Texas teams, and those teams, Texas and Texas Tech. You got a legitimate 7 teams that I think can really play their way if they play well to that second weekend. I think Baylor's still probably the best, but even if you got a chance yesterday, 5 o'clock, Baylor played West Virginia to a barn burner overtime game. It was one of the better games. And the Big 12, I'm always going to sit here and say the ACC is the best conference. I can't do that this year. Just because the Big 12 is better, the Big 10 is better, and the ACC is a little weak. The Big 12, outside of Gonzaga, I think probably has the best talent. Gonzaga's just up and away the best team in my book right now. But yes, Baylor, West Virginia was the best game I've seen all year. I would be hard-pressed to disagree. Louisville, Kentucky, I will not include a game that includes Kentucky. They're horrible. Never. They're under 500.
Real quick, you're a college basketball expert. Why do you think a lot of the blue blood programs have struggled this year? Kentucky, Duke. Why are they not any good?
So at some point, college basketball is like the stock market. And what I mean by that is at some point when you keep going with this one and done type of thing, you're bound to have a bad year. So this isn't, if you knew you were going to get these guys all for at least even 2 years, they give you some sort of semblance, that's fine. I think COVID has really played a major part. These teams that are freshmen, like for example, Baylor or Oklahoma has a lot of older players as well. Davion Harmon, Brady Manick seems like he's been there since 2006. Yeah. And you have Lon Kruger. Like Duke, these kids just get on campus. The first thing they're hit with is a COVID test, like off the plane or they're driving, COVID test. Then they have pauses throughout the year, and they're just getting used to each other. They're literally like learning each other's first names and their hobbies. Yeah. For a team like Baylor, who has transfers, who've been to multiple schools, Jared Butler, player of the year, Davion Mitchell, transfer. He could arguably be a player of the year. Mark Vital, one of the best defensive players in the country, all older guys. They can put it together. They can glue it together a lot better. These younger teams, they're all struggling. There's not one team that's extremely young that's playing well. Auburn, I think, might actually be the youngest team in the country. They're under 500. Duke's struggling. Kentucky's struggling. Kansas has a few older guys, and they're not even that great this year, Kansas. They're okay. Yeah. They're not great. On their best day, I'd probably pick Oklahoma. I'd probably pick Texas over them on their best. So I think being through the process and learning these guys, and I also think that this is just not a good class, ultimately. When in our right mind would we have said Gonzaga is the best team in the country, and it's not even close. Even just 3 years ago, we never would have said that. Right. They're the overwhelming favorite.
Yeah, they were always like Cinderella, but they didn't have the best overall talent ever. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And I'll make the case that they have arguably the number 2 pick. Cade Cunningham will probably be the number 1 pick. Their guard, Jalen Suggs, arguably, if you're an ESPN insider or anywhere, definitely a top 5 pick. I would make the case I would take him number 2. And he's their point guard. And Gonzaga's always gone like the transfer route at the point guard route, but they actually got a freshman. Gonzaga's transformed from a transfer destination or an overseas. They get a lot of overseas kids. They got DeMontis Sabonis, who is the son of Arvydas Sabonis, who is a great NBA player. Gonzaga is now a destination freshmen want to go. It used to be like, we're not going to go to Gonzaga. It's in the middle of nowhere. They don't really play anyone. Now it's like, we want to go to Gonzaga. So that the transition's been made. And a lot of people thought Butler would make that transition when they had Brad Stevens to the Big East. It never worked out. But I guess that's my overarching theme. I'm a huge college basketball fan, like through and through. Luckily, Aaron doesn't make me go into the office, so I could watch the games from home and get stuff done. Otherwise, I don't know. I would maybe have to call in sick. The March Madness is great. The tournament's great. So, Mike Somich brought this up. Maybe we'll have a Jim Boeheim college basketball night. And maybe it'll be maybe after Selection Sunday we could do it. That would be fun. We could break down the tournament and we can recap the weekend. That would be a fun thing. So maybe I just put that into the Racing Dude schedule. Who knows? Without further ado, we will see you guys tomorrow. Everyone stay safe, stay healthy. For Aaron, go Sooners. For me, Syracuse is probably out of it. I don't know. Maybe they just got a nice win against UNC, so we'll see. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We will be heading to Oaklawn tomorrow, so get your past performances ready. Good luck today. If you're playing Gulfstream Park, again, you can always check out racingdudes.com. They have free picks, premium picks. Be an insider. Don't be an insider. Whatever you want to do, Racing Dudes is the place to go for all your racing needs. And hopefully my product will be up there soon. We're working on it. Aaron sent me a screenshot of all things they're working on. So he's not full of crap. We're going to get it. We're going to get to it. Hopefully, if it's not in the coming days, this would be the last week that we got to deal with a middleman. That is the goal. And Jared confirmed that as well. So that would be one less step for everyone. Everyone, we will see you guys tomorrow. So good luck today and have a nice Wednesday afternoon from wherever you are.